years now. Before that, I was a state farm for 6. Heard a lot about the water reclamation district. My father-in-law does a lot of the work around that, and it's constantly a point of conversation. And frankly, it's something I've been paying a lot of attention to. I was an insurance agent here locally for a while, and 2020 was a tough year for that, and the sewer systems were quite a concern of mine at the time. So figured it's better to try and get my hands on it. It was great to meet you, and really appreciate seeing all the work you guys have been doing.
You're welcome.
All right, is there anyone from the public who wishes to address the commission today?
Not that we have received any requests for.
All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Does any member wish to remove an item from the consent agenda to separate discussion? Okay. With that, is there a motion to enact and adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second? It's been moved and seconded to enact the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is enacted. All right, moving to the regular agenda. Today we have a list of items for information and discussion. The commissioners all received in your agenda packets. So would like to start with some discussion if possible. So you were each provided with attachment A to the packet, which is our current public comment policy. We all take the Open Meetings Act training at some point in our tenure, and we know there's guidance out there from the Attorney General's office. Certainly, we've been exposed to the county board public comment policy, which I asked Ray to include. So county board, City of Bloomington, Town of Normal, Amy, significant experience with Unit 5. Carl's in DC, but he knows from the airport authority, would have some leading practices. So just wanted to open up, if you've refreshed your memory on our current policy, what's some feedback? What are some areas you think we could improve? I have some specific questions, but I'll just sort of open it out to there unless Ray, if there's anything else you think we need to achieve with this discussion.
I think you provide a pretty good background. I mean, the current policy was last adopted in 2013, so it's been a while. Yeah. We, generally don't have a lot of public comments, but we do from time to time. We welcome those public comments. And so I thought, it's time to review, if any changes or updates need to be made. So we will take whatever comments. I assume you all have a chance to review the materials that were provided, and then we can take our suggestions, and then we'll prepare a draft and then run it by legal, and then bring that back for your review and consideration of the options at the next meeting.
So I thought it was really short, 3 minutes. Are we talking about the same thing? Because I was looking at some of the other ones and they're like 30 minutes for some kind of chance to chat. And that's a bit long, obviously, but could we maybe do 5 minutes?
If I may, yeah. So I think the 3 minutes is pretty not too uncommon, actually, in looking at other jurisdictions. Mm-hmm. The 30 minutes is for the overall, what we have said, like for 15, but it's like 3 minutes per person. And I think that's not too, there's a lot of information, but I think it's not too unusual for like 3 minutes for individual comments, by the local municipalities. Some of them do set a time frame in terms of if like a representation, a representative, then maybe allow 5 or 6 minutes, and then the overall still setting like 15 minutes and 30 minutes. But that's for the overall. But that's kind of the general what we have seen.
Yeah, the county board allows 3 minutes for private individuals and then 5 for organizations. Is that what it is?
Okay. And that hasn't been an issue for anyone? People seem to present within that time frame? I've only seen a couple people present here at our meetings before, and it seemed like I think maybe one of them probably wanted to talk longer, but, most of, yeah, if it works for most of the time, then maybe you don't need to change.
Yeah, I think the issue that we had was more administrative in terms of dealing with the issue of how we went into executive session and everything. So not conflating the two necessarily, but from what I've seen on other boards that I've been on, 3 minutes is for an individual is pretty good for us. Yeah, would be
And the
pretty good.
The goal is to provide the public an opportunity to share and express their views, but public comment is not, the law does protect that it can't take away from the business of the organization, right? So you can't, if you, we've had public comment until 2 a.m. for Unit 5 meetings. And, we chose to continue to hear those and then conduct our meeting after for valid reasons at the time. But, if we could not do that every week, because you could never get to the business of the organization. So you can restrict time, place, and manner. I would love to see a line that at the discretion of the commission that we could extend the public comment period. So if we do have 6 people or 7 people show up, especially if we don't have a lot of business on the docket, why not?
So Ruth, with that, does that mean the total comment period, the 15 minutes, and then we would still limit the speaker to 3 minutes?
Yes. And then I also wonder, I know with the county board, they allow you to just come in and you sign up your name on a sheet to speak to. I just think for accessibility purposes, and everyone is so busy, right? That especially like today, we don't have anybody making public comment, but if somebody showed up and wanted to, I would love to see the ability to do that maybe 5 minutes before the meeting, just sign up on a physical sheet here.
Yeah, the county board, the county board for the committee, they allow up to 15 minutes prior to the meeting, and the board and the committees. And then I think there's another group that also 15 minutes prior to like the town. And so, I just want to share.
I think it makes sense that we follow or try to align ourselves with all of the other municipalities as much as possible, so that people coming in kind of understand the whole process and they're not,
Consistent.
yes,
Not to learn this.
and such. But I would agree that perhaps we need to add at the discretion of the board chair or the commission,
And I think that
a
line is in
little
the
different,
county board.
a little extra time if we've got that ability.
And someone remind me, does the county board require people wanting to public comment to list their address in the request? Okay, I didn't think that we were even supposed to do that. So,
It's depending on, for the OMA, the Open Meetings Act, it is up to the policy established by the organization. If the, certain organization in their policy, established policies as, name and address, then they could, and if not, it will be just that, the name, the contact information. There are different views. One is for the organization or the board to view whether the comments made is by knowing the address, then okay, is it somebody from out state, right? And or is somewhere close by, that type of issues. And I've seen situations, in meetings that actually people from out of town state to actually come in for certain issues. Just FYI.
Yeah, where they start to make the rounds on a particular issue.
Yeah.
And a benefit of having the address is that we've had situations in Unit 5 where we'd have had to give people warning for behavior that wasn't consistent with policy, and then take additional action of not permitting future attendance because of behavior that was in violation of policy. So I don't remember what the rules are for address, but that would be a case for why you would want it or need it. So you have some mechanism to follow up because that has happened.
Yeah, that's,
I was gonna say, I don't disagree with having the address, but in '87, we ran into an issue with people who, and I think we looked into it, and I think there is some thought that you cannot require it. You can request it.
Okay.
For the same reason that he was suggesting that, that way if you need to get back with them or something, but you can't, it wasn't, or maybe it just wasn't worth it to us to fight with people over it. And she's also right, people make the rounds. Ours wasn't as much out of state as out of district.
I mean, could we have a checkbox that says I am a resident of McLean County?
I don't know, because I do think some of the guidance from the Attorney General states you can't limit it to geographically, so I think that would be edging up on.
Okay, I was just thinking about being able to look, find someone, who does come in, threaten to burn the place down, or,
or we can say optional, and they come it up to.
Or we can, whoever, our legal counsel can give us some guidance as to just what options we would have and then bring it back to us and say, can it be something as simple as checking the box? Because to a certain degree, I think we all want to know, is the person making the decision or making the comments, do they truly have standing in our community per se? So I'd want to know that.
yeah.
To the one concern I had is if we do work to support everyone in McLean County, including people who might have some housing insecurity, if there isn't a set address for them, are they gonna feel as welcome to
So that's an item to get legal counsel.
We'll check, there's like two sides to this very issue.
Well, and it may be as simple as just saying, are you a McLean County resident? And, like you said, that legal counsel would have to determine, is that something we can require or just something we have to request? And they don't want to fill it out or not. But it does seem like a pertinent question based on the matters in which we consider, because we are the McLean County Regional Planning Commission. So, I mean, it would be, that doesn't mean that someone couldn't bring something valid from outside the county, but in most cases, most people I would feel would be have interest from within the county.
So Tony, again, the county requires you fill out 15 minutes in advance?
No,
That's
like 5 minutes.
That's what we
And you
do.
just sign a piece of paper.
Right, that's what we do. I didn't know if the county was
Our
separate.
policy says 15 minutes.
I know, but I didn't know what the county, because
Oh, yeah.
I think we should be consistent with
I
the
agree.
county.
I agree.
And if yours said that, then that's fine. But yeah, that's what,
Yeah, the county, for the county committees, let's see, they have to make, whoever wants to make comments, required to submit their request 24 hours prior to the meeting online using a form below, or in person up to 15 minutes prior to the meeting. For the board, for the county board, shall be 15 minutes for each, for the meetings, for appearance by non-members, and then they also can request online, make a request online up to 24 hours prior to the start of the meeting using the form provided, or in person up to 15 minutes prior to the start of the meeting.
so not 5, 15.
In writing, it's 15, but I've come and made comment 5 minutes before, as long as the paper's out.
Yeah.
We're pretty strict on 15. We have a clock that we
You pull, yeah,
we pull the sheet.
And we go 5.
But given the fact we're part of the county, I think.
I just want to be consistent with the
Yeah.
county.
so in
That's why I
writing, in
asked.
writing, we could follow the same procedure.
City and town are the same way, right? You said.
The city, it's register, you may register until 5 minutes before the meeting for boards and commissions, except for city council and committees of the whole, which allows for in-person or virtual participation. And then email public comments made up to 15 minutes prior to the meeting. That's what we got so far. For the town, they must register at least 15 minutes prior to the meeting on forms, or they have to contact the city manager's office at least 2 hours before the meeting, just to notify. So roughly about 15 minutes for both the city and the county.
And does the county have a line about statements must be related to commission business, or is that at the individual committee's name address?
Not that we are aware of, not that, I'm not saying because they have like a separate code, but from what we gather online, it just says 15 minutes in the forms. I think they encourage people to try to register 15 minutes.
Oh, I was asking, we have a number 5 on our policy, is statements must be related to commission business, or?
The county, not the summary I got, but I can double check. But I think there's some other local municipalities or the school board, they have that too. So it's not
We don't restrict the topic.
the topic. There's some that has to be relevant, germane to the agenda. But it's for the town.
Town of normal.
Yeah, town
So I
normal.
guess I just have a concern that if perhaps we're gonna address issue XYZ next month, but we have a citizen who maybe is sort of brings information to light, or actually has a great suggestion for us, that if it's not on the agenda, that it's not considered relevant.
Normal has actually 2 public comment periods.
Yeah.
And the one at the beginning of the meeting is for the aspects that are for the agenda. And then they have an open public comment meeting that is at the end of the meeting. So you get to, but they make you sit through the entire meeting before you can talk about on any topic, which is strategic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the first part of that public comment period for the town of Normal has to be germane to the agenda items, and so will be limited to 30 minutes overall. For this part 2, toward the end of the meetings, it will be overall will be 15 minutes, but that will be only for comments germane to town issues. So there might be issues they want to talk about, not on the agenda, but just overall. So that section overall will be for 15 minutes, but no person may speak for more than 3 minutes. Yeah. But if you're representing a group, you may be allowed up to 6 minutes.
Are there any other thoughts about limiting it to the business before the commission? Limiting a topic?
Again, I think whatever is consistent with the county. So whatever the county is doing.
I mean, at a minimum, it should at least have to do with something the commission deals with. I mean, otherwise, I guess technically you can have someone come in and start. I mean, it's 3 minutes, I guess. Yeah, right, it could be anything. I don't, I mean, I certainly don't want to limit what people can talk to us about, but at the same time.
Yeah, I just worry that we might miss something.
I think the agenda item comment is at all, just as long as they limit whatever comments are making to this commission.
So maybe we need to
Streaming
define
the
what
commission.
relevant business.
That would be my question, what is commission business?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty broad term, which is fine. But something that we would ever deal with is commission business, right? Not necessarily an agenda item.
Right.
Which is probably consistent with what I would imagine that's what the county code.
And so Ray, I guess the other question I would have for you, just based on this topic, does staff have any recommendations as to changes? Or was this really just to get our input?
Well, for today, I think we just trying to collect input, and then we'll talk with the legal, because there's some issues still. It's not black and white, but we'll also look into a little bit more deeper into the county rules, because sounds like there's overall preference to conform to whatever the county does.
So what do you propose as next steps, having that discussion and then generating a draft with revisions, or do you wanna do it the other way around? Take the draft to legal counsel?
I think we'll work on the draft,
Mm-hmm.
take it to the legal for the, input, feedback. And so if they said yes or no or whatever that version, the updated version will bring to you for review. And because it has been vetted through legal, and then it's acceptable or not acceptable, that might be easier for you to vote on it at the next meeting.
That sounds good. Any other discussion before we move on? All right, thanks so much for the input, everybody.
Good discussion.
All right. And I don't know why vetted by legal is triggering to me, because I just don't have a word coming my way. So,
We wonder why you started twitching.
So Ray, you're up next with the housing coordinator position update.
Yeah, this should be really quick. We're finalizing the RFP. We're hoping to get to the legal for the review, for the review, and then we hope to, after the review, whatever revision to be made, and we'll publish it. And we're planning on allowing maybe 3, not more than 4 weeks, for responses.
With that was a grant funded, are we, because I can't remember when the grant started, but are we behind then because it's taken a while to get the position posted?
We had conversations with the state, which grant the fund, and they actually, we got they make it start in November, but actually by the time we work it out, it's with them, they had to backdate that because their own internal procedure. So they said, yeah, you would get to later on, we to apply for extension should be fine.
Oh, okay.
Because it's how their fiscal year and the cycles, and they just have to do whatever they have to do.
So we're not on the published timeline, but they just said apply for extension.
Yeah, when we get, probably I'm thinking when we get to like 2027, when it goes to like 6 months prior to the actual, what the agreement says, few months, and then we'll talk with them when it gets extension.
And that extension is like a spending extension.
It's
Sometimes a
spending-
grant will conclude that, say,
Spending and also
work.
for that person to continue to work.
And the funds are still there.
Yeah, yes, yeah, because that's why we when we talk with the liaison at the CEO, to get extension.
Those funds have been pulled.
Yes. Good thing it's not a federal.
Yeah, well,
Thanks, Ray. Any other questions about the housing coordinator position? With that, I think Luke, you have the floor for the regional housing initiatives update.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. For regional housing initiative updates, first we chaired the February housing staff committee meeting last week, and then this month we will be chairing the affordable and supportive housing ASH committee meeting in less than 2 weeks. And then last week we attended the Illinois Affordable Housing Forum hosted by the Illinois Housing Council in Chicago. So that's pretty much for the admin stuff. Then moving on, we're still updating the housing dashboard, and so hopefully by next month we'll be able to present updates. And then we finished the draft 2025 area median income white paper, and so I have just a few highlights from that white paper. So just a brief overview, area median income is the midpoint of the region's income distribution, where half of the households earn above, half the households earn below AMI. And for the geography is the Bloomington Metropolitan Statistical Area, which pretty much is McLean County. And so in 2025, the AMI for McLean County is $118,800, which is 8.6% higher than 2024, which was $109,400. Also, based on the new data, a 4-person household in McLean County is considered extremely low income if they make 30% AMI or $35,650. They're considered very low income if they make 50% of the AMI or $59,400. And they're considered low income if they make 80% AMI or $95,050, which is pretty high compared to 2024 numbers. Also, median gross rent, according to the 2024 5-year ACS, McLean County's median gross rent is $1,009, which surpassed the 1,000 mark for the first time. And then for the city of Bloomington, median gross rent $1,050, and town and normal $965. Moving on to other updates. As usual, we attend the Housing Coalition and Unhoused Task Force meetings. Just save the date. There will be the Central Illinois Continuum of Care Conference on July 23rd with the theme of Building Strong Foundations. Now, we don't have any details regarding that conference just yet, so it's just a save the date for now. For the bid count, according to their preliminary count, they counted 9 unsheltered people, unsheltered or observation, as in they weren't able to interview them, they just saw them because maybe they were sleeping or for whatever reason. And so they cited the bridge as the main reason why there's not a lot of people outside during the bid count, so that's great. They're expecting a complete count around mid-April. And then last, the Salvation Army's emergency winter shelter will close for the season at the end of March. Have any questions?
Has there been any reports, Luke, on how things are going at the bridge?
Yes, so I actually
comfortable how things are going? Or?
Yeah, so I actually talked to Matt about that. So he doesn't like when I said the term success story, because they're all success stories.
Right.
They're currently working on the first batch of people, like interviewing for jobs. So that's where they're at right now. So they don't have like people who, I guess, graduated or whatever term they want to use.
But it hasn't opened that long.
Yes. So, but some people have started interviewing for jobs and then eventually moving on to more permanent housing.
Thank you.
Yeah, anything else?
When you take the median rent, is that for like all properties for rent, whether it's an efficiency to a 5-bedroom house or like what?
That's a good question. I'm not quite sure how the ACS measures that. I just use this one variable that the ACS says median gross rent. I could look into that, but I don't have the answer for that.
Okay, yeah, I would love to, just out of curiosity.
Yeah, it would be interesting because there are houses up in North Normal that are for rent.
Right.
And they're not gonna rent for $1,000, they're gonna rent for several $1,000s. And so it may be skewed, that number may be skewed up a little bit higher.
Although in the white paper, I have like a table of based on your income, this is what your 30% rent should be. So I'll once I have the final white paper, I'll be happy to like share it with you. Anything else?
Okay, so I think Ray's gonna be standing in on the next topic, Human Services Transportation Plan update. You have the next couple.
Yeah, I'm here for Jen, who's under the weather. So I'm Jen for the next minute or two. There's for the HSTP, Human Service Transportation Plan. There's a committee. Actually, right now there's 2 committees, but we're having joint meetings. So the next quarterly meeting is going to be March the 16th, into Mondays. And also we have start drafting revised bylaws to the HSTP committees. And basically, right now we have 2 committees we're trying to consolidate into one. And so by looking at some of the IDOT's agreement language in the grant agreements that we're trying to to make it work, because so far we have seen it, two committees kind of confusing, because there's some people who have not been attending, but depending on who they represent, there are 5 counties involved, and sometimes there are some absentees, there's some people not on their county board, or they are, and so it seems like it's more efficient to run under one committee versus 2, and that's also acceptable to us. So we kind of looking into some of the examples from other NPOs. Another thing that we are working on is revision to the HSTP plan that was adopted, update some information, and also to remove some of the outdated information that are no longer applicable, such as some of the rural service providers. There's been some changes, as you're aware, and so we are doing more review and see how that plan needs to be updated. And that plan was last adopted in June of 2024. There's quite a few changes since then too. And in terms of the information hub that staff mentioned before, Thomas have done, and some of the staff help out you in terms of we put information, what we call information hub on our website regarding HSPP. So for people in the rural areas, they like to know within those 5 counties, who do we contact and whatnot. And so we're building that, but a lot of the basic information we have put it up on the website, and thanks to Thomas and the others who have. So right now, Iroquois County is the one out of the 5 county region that don't have a provider. Because as we mentioned last time, there's some changes, and so we don't know who. It's like one of those things that we got waiting, because I think similar to other residents in that area, waiting for who can provide the service. But for now, McLean County, as you know, Connect Go is the rural service provider. Kankakee remains to be Sobus. Livingston and Fort, they're the operators under Futures Connections. So the only one that's missing rural operator is Iroquois County. So we'll let you know when we hear more. Questions? Thank you.
And how about an update on the Veterans Parkway Corridor Plan?
Okay, the Project Stream Committee will be meeting next Friday on the 13th. And it will be in the form of a workshop. So it'll be more than an hour that typically would take. It will be an hour and a half. It's going to be at the public library. We're using one of the committee rooms. And at that meeting, what we anticipate is for the consultants to work with the committee to narrow it down to preferred alternatives, because as you recall, there's like different alternatives they were looking at, working with the project committee, and then they will be setting some metrics, some performance criteria, for the plan. And so that will be a workshop in the form of a workshop, and we'll report back at the next meeting how it goes. Question?
Who's on the steering committee?
Oh, many people, including some around here. There, without naming names, there are folks from IDOT, from the county, public works, city public works, engineering, same for town normal. Also folks from the EDC, BNEDC. We have folks from the Chamber of Commerce, from the there's like 13 people. I don't have the list in front of me, but it's well represented. We related to kind of the role, but it's not all engineers, right? I mean, we are also serving on it. There's like airport directors on it. We have folks from the business sector, And so it's, yeah, a good representation, but if you need the names, I can definitely provide.
So are there any citizen representatives?
It's not so-called citizen representatives per se, because when we have members of PSC, usually we envision them wearing different hats. I mean, one person could be wearing 2-3 hats at the same time, so not necessarily, because they're also usually residents, so they also bring in input and feedback and insight, not just because of their job, but also because of they live and breathe here in the community.
But there were stages where there were surveys that
Yes.
were done, community surveys, and then public forums to
Yes.
gather that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, well said. Yeah, we, in addition, PSC is just one of the ways to guide the process, but definitely public engagement, using different tools that we utilize. For that.
And even after the report gets completed, nothing is going to be done without the approval of both the town, the county, and also, more importantly, IDOT. Because the street is owned by the state.
Right, absolutely.
Nothing can really be done without their approval.
Yeah.
The road. Yeah, nothing will change.
So, yeah, but the planning has to be done in the first place. And so when opportunities come, funding opportunities come, then we'll look for those opportunities to do kind of incremental improvements.
Any other questions? I think the public house, the public open house presentation has the steering committee members listed in the slides if you want to reshare that.
Yeah.
I think like one of the first slides had the list of steering committee members.
Yeah, we have, it's a pretty good group, people really representing. Usually, whatever PSC we set up, we really would want to have a diverse representation. Even AACP, I have somebody on that PSC. And so, yeah, we want to have that perspective, but that's not the only way to collect inputs.
And Ruth, I mean, I think that's a good point. So typically when we're undergoing a new project and we are voting on to hire the consulting or whatever, that's usually part of the discussion is like who's going to be part of that. So typically we'll have some input on the front end for some of the larger. I mean, I'm not promising that for every, but that is typically the discussion in larger projects like this. All right, we ready? Anything else on Veterans Parkway? Or wait, am I supposed to call it the road?
It's actually probably close to a highway, but it's not controlled access.
Am I calling this the right thing? Okay, and finally, last but not least, an update on the regional comprehensive plan. I think a big update. Okay, Anthony and Greg.
Yeah, I'll just give a brief few sentences, and then Anthony is going to give your short few slides. But basically, what we have is since last month, if you recall, that we were having discussion with the county administration, and since then we have had confirmation from the county admin in terms of proceeding with the timeline that Anthony's going to talk about, and just said that, and this is just one of the slides he will be presenting, so I don't want you to, don't worry about, distracting you from this yet, but just to say that, so this is a major starting point, and we know how far, how much time we have, to undertake this project, and Anthony's going to go into that, but we are at a good point. Not that this is the starting point, because we have done some work in the past. As you recall, the strategic land use plan actually was something that we thought we were going to do as part of the overall regional comprehensive plan, but that's an outgrowth. So Anthony's going to talk a little bit briefly what is comp plan, because you may or may not engage that process or understand the process. So maybe it's good for everybody understand what's the comp plan, what does it take, what's our process looks like. So in the next many months, you know what we're talking about. So Anthony.
Yeah, so big update, like Ray said, we've had some common understanding of what the timeline's gonna look like for a plan of this size. We'll get to that, it's the last slide I have here, but this is kind of the kickoff presentation preview. I wanna run it by everybody here first, kind of get everybody thinking about what a comp plan is and what to expect over the next roughly year and a half. As you can see up there, we've got some bullet points of what exactly a comp plan is, kind of some of the same stuff you've heard before. It's a guiding document, helps analyze growth, development, conservation, typically over a 10 to 30 year period. We're looking at a planning horizon of 2045 for this comp plan. Shared vision for the future. So that means it's really important for us to get public engagement, early public engagement to establish what the McLean County public wants to see for the future. They want to see more conservation, more emphasis on transportation, whatever it may be. We want to get as much of that input as early as possible. Transparency and thorough public engagement are what make good comprehensive plans. Kind of mentioned that already, like comprehensive analysis in McLean County, there's a lot of different aspects that go into a comp plan, a lot of which we've been continually working on: housing, transportation, economic development, infrastructure, all of that, education. We have pretty much a plan already done for each one of those elements, so we'll pull a lot of information from those, as well as establishing an existing conditions, here's what's happening now document. And then again, kind of the disclaimer, comp plans are solely advisory. They're established as a guide for policymakers for them to reference when they're making decisions. So this isn't us creating zoning ordinances that are legally binding. It's this is best practice. This is what the people want to see, and this is how we think you should do it. Take that as you will. Thomas, you can go to the next slide, please. This is kind of a flow chart of the process. This is a general process. It's a cycle. So we are kind of in the monitor and update process right now, where we have a plan from 2009, and we're getting ready to initiate and organize the development of the new plan, the updated plan, and then kind of outlines what I had already said: community visioning, gathering the data, putting together an existing conditions report, putting it all into one document, having public engagement, review, adoption, and start it all over. The real exciting one is this last slide here. This is the timeline. So we're currently in phase 1, about to go into phase 2, which is project initiation and setup. So right now we're working on establishing a project steering committee. That'll be our kind of first big hurdle, other than getting the timeline approved. We have been working on getting a website up and running, and then we have established the project timeline, and we have a scope document that is also in the works. We're hoping to kind of establish or start phase 2 here shortly. Some of the pre-planning work of where we want to host public events, where we want to do workshops, what type of content we're going to show, what information we want to gather. So this is the timeline. This is what we've agreed upon with the county, and keep an eye out for the website. That should be the next thing that comes out, which will kind of have this: what is a comp plan, what's the timeline looking like, how to submit public comment, where, when, all that information on there when we're up and running. Any questions? Still a little bit preliminary at this point. It's not a whole lot of, I don't have the website to show you yet. I don't have the scope yet. We do have those things, but those are kind of something that we want to show the project steering committee before we kind of go totally public with it, just to make sure that we haven't missed anything. We're covering all our bases.
Can you cover who this timeline's been shared with and who we've received approval from?
Yeah,
County,
we show this to the county administrator, and to share with, as far as we know, from the county board chair, and also share with the chair of the land use and transportation committee chair. That's as far
So
as-
those individuals should be aware of this timeline and
Yeah, and give them place. At least we got the permission to proceed with this timeline from county administration. And we'll be happy to share this to your tomorrow. Just email you a copy of this slide, this flow chart or timeline, so you have something. As a reference, as in any planning process, right? We hope there won't be any surprises, and sometimes those happen. And so, but this is what, at least for now, we can foresee, but things can be modified and adjusted along the way.
Yeah, this does a pretty good job of kind of what I anticipate will happen. Obviously, as we know from the last go around, anything could happen. That bottom, the lighter green, is meant to reflect the specific and intentional public engagement opportunities. 3 different ones. So the first one is going to be more that vision setting. What do you want to see? Second one is how do you want to see that achieved? And then the third one will be a little bit later on in the process. It'll be similar to the strategic land use outreach that we did, where we have a draft, now review it. We have ample time, so review it and let us know what you want to change. We'll change it, send it back out. Yes?
So in theory, not every single solitary county board member has seen this.
In theory, yeah. It had a public meeting now though, so it's out there. So hopefully we can reference it. We have not been to the last couple land use and transportation committee meetings, but I believe that's on the topic for next month. I think theirs was, the last one was yesterday, so we'll go next month.
Do they have any other involvement with the steering committee or the process, or do they get updates on the process, or how does that work?
Yeah, I believe Ray has a list of project steering committee members, so he's
Yeah.
reaching out to you now, I believe some of the.
Yeah, if we plan to, I mean, that's like lack of bodies, right? And so we have extend invitation to the chair of the land use and transportation committee chair as one of the PSC members. And our hope is she will also, share with the rest of the committee members, and the staff will provide monthly updates to committee. We'll go to the committee and give them monthly reports. And I hope also somehow the county board chair or whoever will share or updates to the other members of the county board. And so we rely on really a number of people to help us to get the word out, and we really have nothing to hide, to be honest. And same thing too, there's like City of Bloomington staff, town normal staff serving on the PSC. We hope they will help to get the word out to the elected official, the department heads, to their city managers. Otherwise, it's hard to get 170,000 people informed of what's going on. Even if we put a press release every month, I could guarantee you nobody, not everybody will read that. And so we rely on you to help us to get the word out.
Is there any reason why the planning commission couldn't send emails directly to each board member of this commission? Can we send this individually to all 14 county board members, or to ensure that yes, in fact, we know you have this in your inbox?
Oh, we could work with the county administrator, please share with the county board member.
Yeah, it would be good if we could make sure that the county administrator shares it with, or the land use committee chair shares it with the rest of the county board.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the problems we had with the last process here, was that we were trusting that everyone was sharing things appropriately, and it wasn't the case.
So, but that's why my suggestion, why don't we just,
Yeah.
it takes 2 seconds to send an email, I mean, I can send this to them if you want.
Yeah.
then we know
Yeah.
that yes, you did receive
Yeah,
this.
well, it's I guess, we don't know what protocol is with that. I mean,
Right.
what-
Yeah, I think that's the word, the protocol. I mean, we can, I can ask, the county administrator to say, hey, this is the desire of the planning commission to have this timeline to be shared with all the county board members. I don't think it's a problem.
It'd be nice if it wasn't the
Yeah,
same.
yeah, this is a public meeting too. I mean, we want people to know, so I have no
We
point.
had a lot of public meetings though with the strategic land use plan too, and there was a lot of under engagement, I guess, at the
Until
elected officials
something happened.
level. So yeah, until it came to a head,
Yeah.
they started hearing from constituents, and then all of a sudden it was an issue.
Yeah, so
But
Ray,
isn't that always the case? I mean, it's just, you know, we have so much on our radar on a
Right.
daily basis that it's just like, it doesn't become an issue until all of a sudden it is an issue and you're like, oh.
But I think that the problem with that was there was a question posed, a fundamental question posed all along. And Anthony, you've got this question, I think, a fair amount of times, is where is this coming from? Who's asking for this? What is the, and I think there was misinformation out there that basically the planning commission was out there running rogue and we were doing this just on our own to try to kind of take over the world. and I think that's absolutely not the case of what was going on, but the lack of information disseminated, I'm just gonna say it, through the county board and through the city and town to their elected officials exacerbated that problem. Had it just been put in front of them as something information provided, it sounds to me as though, based on the answers we've been given, that wasn't the case until very late in the process. So that's a fundamental problem. I think if you're gonna try to get buy-in, if elected officials that represent our constituents in the community aren't aware of it going on, that's a fundamental problem. So I think it is something we need to make sure gets addressed.
And I just wanna reiterate my comment from last meeting, that the lessons learned.
Yeah.
Make sure that stays on a post-it, so that we don't end up with that kind of pushback late in the game again on this.
Yeah, because quite honestly, Ray, you and Anthony were the ones that were willing to be out in front of all the people making the comments, and you guys took a lot of comments and a lot of anxiety from people because of the lack of information that we shared at that level. I personally, not only from a constituent standpoint, I'd love to see that happen, but I'd also love to see that information be shared with those folks, so you guys aren't the ones that are wearing the shirt in all these meetings and being the one kind of targeted for, were you just out there doing this on your own kind of thing? It'd be kind of nice if you had someone to back you up on that.
And I also want to encourage staff that if you need us to go advocate to the county board for more resources, use us to, if it is a time issue. Be happy to do that, but I'm not gonna do it unless you give me your blessing.
so Ray, I think a request I have is, given the input received, so if I'm looking at my calendar, we meet again on April 1st, but the Land Use and Transportation Committee would not be meeting before then. So if you can sort of establish with our county administrator and the chairperson of the Land Use and Transportation Committee, how this information is going to flow, what that cadence will look like, so we can talk about it at our next meeting, that would be helpful. So whether that's you or Anthony that reaches out, how are we going to get information out? And then I think leaning heavily, I appreciate the position you're in, having to gather the steering committee, but I think saying hope that they will help us with public engagement. I think it needs to be stronger, the expectation. And I love this visual, you're the key to helping us get public engagement so we can focus on planning and the deliverables we have, the projects we have that go beyond this. We expect that you help us get some engagement. I think hope is not strong enough. And you're very respectful and I appreciate the challenges and getting that steering committee together, but I think that needs to be messaged, and this visual is very helpful.
Yeah, and we don't want to get ahead of any of the county board.
No.
And that's the real problem that we've got. And the last thing we need is to have someone in another, somewhere in the county say that they didn't know something was happening, because they should know. and such, and we were getting blamed for what ultimately should have been someone else's work, not ours, per se. It's not our work, or I would perceive, it's not our job to communicate with the county board. The protocols would say there is another way of getting that done, so I just want to make sure that those people are indeed getting that done. No one's surprised.
You need us to reach out to our county board representative to see, did you get this? I'm
Well,
curious.
I know the county administrator is out of town,
Yeah.
back to the office on business, out of town on business. And then we'll be back to the office on Friday.
Any other questions for Ray and Anthony on the comp plan? Thank you so much. Okay. That concludes our list that was provided in the agenda. Is there any further business to come before the commission? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor, say aye. Those opposed, same sign.
Ready to go home.
Well, the March 3rd meeting of the McLean County Regional Planning Commission is adjourned at 4:58 p.m.